Do you hang out with people who don't contribute anything to your life? Have you ever felt like you're not good at choosing friends? Do you feel like there are people slowing down your progress? The renowned Stoic philosopher Epictetus once stated that the key is to surround yourself only with individuals who inspire you, whose presence demands the best from you. You're probably familiar with the expression, "You are the average of the 5 people with whom you spend the most time." Today we'll explore this notion from a Stoic perspective, examining the 7 types of people who can hinder your progress in Stoic philosophy and discuss how to manage these challenging relationships before delving into the topic. The first type of person is the complainer, that friend, family member, or colleague who seems to find fault with everything, whether it's the weather, your job, or even the food at a popular restaurant. These individuals never miss an opportunity to express their dissatisfaction and might ask you why you should care about this. You might think of just ignoring them to make your life easier, but as they say, easier said than done. Constant exposure to this negativity has a draining impact on mental well-being, similar to a leaky faucet gradually depleting the emotional energy reserve. Stoicism teaches us to focus on viable solutions instead of dwelling on problems. For example, imagine collaborating on a project with someone who constantly complains. Every meeting becomes an exhausting complaining session without constructive dialogue, affecting team morale and derailing you from finding actionable actions. Stoicism offers several strategies for dealing with a complainer. First, you can limit your exposure to this person whenever possible. If it is not possible to avoid it, perhaps because it is a family member or a colleague, the second option is to mentally distance yourself during their complaints, regarding them as a passing storm, loud and disturbing, but ultimately temporary and powerless in the face of your own inner tranquility. The third option is to direct the conversation towards solutions or change the topic to something more constructive. To quote Marcus Aurelius, "You have power over your mind, not over external events." Recognizing this will give you strength. Timeless Stoic wisdom encourages us to diligently preserve our peace of mind, ensuring that the negativity of chronic complainers does not derail our Stoic path of resilience. The second type of person is the drama magnet. Imagine you are sailing through life like a ship on calm waters, but you encounter the whirlpool known as the drama magnet. This individual seems to be constantly immersed in crises, conflicts, or controversies, and like a whirlpool, has the unsettling ability to suck you into his vortex of chaos. Although you may initially be drawn to the energy of these dramatic magnets, mistaking it for passion or excitement, you soon realize that sailing a boat through a storm is exhausting and dangerous. Dealing with drama magnets gets complicated because their crises often feel like your own. Their chaos is contagious, and you might find yourself embroiled in conflicts you initially had no part in. For example, consider a friend who constantly gets into fights with people in your social circle. Today, he won't talk to Sarah, tomorrow it's Tom. Your friend comes to you for advice, but you notice that this cycle never ends, and suddenly you find yourself at odds with Sarah or Tom because you tried to intervene. One strategy for dealing with this is to employ reflective listening rather than offering advice or taking sides. By mirroring his words, you can provide emotional support without getting bogged down in drama. Another seemingly counterintuitive strategy is to adopt the idea of selectively unavailable stoicism. This means valuing your time and not being available for other people's recurring crises. You can turn off your phone during certain hours or create concentration periods in which you focus exclusively on your work or personal development, making it clear that you are not to be disturbed during those times. Following Seneca's philosophy, true happiness lies in enjoying the present without anxious dependence on the future. This can be especially useful when dealing with dramatic magnets. Instead of anxiously worrying about the next crisis, focus on the present moment where you have control, enjoy your life, and don't let someone else's drama interrupt your smooth sailing toward personal growth and peace of mind. The third type of person is the detractor. Imagine you are an artist painting a canvas, each brush stroke adding depth of color and life to your vision. The detractor enters the scene, looks at your work, and immediately begins to criticize it. His words are like strokes of grey paint that begin to dull your vibrant canvas. This is not your usual constructive feedback that could be valuable. Instead, it is a persistent aura of doubt and negativity. For example, let's say you're excited about embarking on a new career path. You've talked to professionals in the field and maybe even taken some preliminary courses. When you share your enthusiasm with the naysayer, they quickly list all the reasons why it won't work out. His constant doubt becomes a grey layer over your confident vision of yourself, causing it to falter. The question is how to deal with a negative person, especially when he could be someone close to you. An unconventional but effective approach is to ask them for advice rather than simply sharing your plans or aspirations. When people take on the role of advisor, they are less likely to directly attack your ideas and can offer more constructive feedback. Another method is to change the script using a technique called positive confrontation. Instead of absorbing their negativity, you challenge them to think of solutions. If they say you'll never be able to change careers at this stage, you can respond with an interesting perspective, asking them how they think someone could successfully make a career change. This not only deflects negativity, but also encourages more constructive conversation. Remember the words of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus: "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Listening does not mean absorbing everyone's negativity, but rather discerning valuable contributions from mere noise. When detractors begin to cloud your canvas with their shadows of doubt, take a step back, listen, reflect, and continue painting your own life with the colors that speak to you. Don't let anyone turn your vibrant masterpiece into a gray and boring landscape. The 4th type of person is the victim. Imagine life as a game of chess, where each player has the same pieces and the common goal of checkmating the opponent's king. Strategically, some make sacrifices and take risks, but the victim instead attributes every bad move to external factors such as the board, the pieces, or even their opponent. They blame these elements for every perceived adversity, perpetually checkmated not by their choices, but by an external force that seems to work against them. The victim's narrative is an endless tale of misfortune, where they see themselves as the helpless protagonist. "I can't advance at work because my boss doesn't like me," or "I can't get in shape because I have bad genetics." It is important to note that some people face difficult situations and genuine systemic problems. However, the victim we are talking about uses her situation as a constant excuse, refusing to take responsibility for his actions or lack thereof. She may be trapped in her own story, perhaps as the supporting character who constantly needs rescuing. Let's imagine that you've spent countless hours listening to a friend blame his exes for his failed relationships. Not only does this consume your time, but it could also subtly influence you to adopt a victim mentality in your own life. So how to confront a victim? Although it may be tempting to become her savior by offering endless advice and emotional support, Stoics warn against this. Instead, they suggest setting boundaries to protect your own mental state. You can employ a technique called compassionate detachment, showing empathy and kindness, but avoiding rescuing them from situations where they need to navigate on their own. Offer a listening ear, but avoid becoming their perpetual problem solver. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be different from the one who committed injustice." If you find yourself sucked into the victim narrative, resist the temptation to become one yourself. Take control of your own game board, make your strategic moves when necessary, and remember that, in the chess game of life, being perpetually in checkmate is often a choice, not a destiny. Advance your pieces, make strategic sacrifices when necessary, and play not for revenge or pity but for growth and wisdom. The 5th type of person is the toxic positivist. You probably know someone like this. He always emanates sunny rainbows and endless streams of emojis. They are those who urge you to be happy even when you are going through difficult times, dismissing your feelings and experiences with a wave of bright optimism. If you imagine your life as a garden with flowers, weeds and pests, the toxic positivist insists on ignoring anything that is not a blooming rose. Despite having aphids on your leaves, they will tell you to focus only on the flowers and not allow negativity into your garden. This type of excessive positivity neglects the complexities of human emotions and the realities of life's challenges. If you're going through a difficult breakup and feeling sad and confused, the toxic positivist's advice might be something like, "There are plenty of fish in the sea, just smile and be happy." Although it sounds motivating, this approach can leave you feeling invalidated and disconnected from reality. How can you grow your garden without allowing toxic positivists to trample you with their indiscriminate spray of good vibes? One strategy is to engage them in a discussion that encompasses both light and shadow. For example, if you are told to look on the bright side and be grateful for your health, you might respond that yes, you are grateful for your health, but it is also okay to feel upset about this specific issue. Both feelings can coexist. When the toxic positivist pushes you to be happy, take a moment to recognize and label your nuanced feelings. You can say to yourself, "I'm feeling a little blue today because of X, and that's okay." This can be a liberating statement. Following Stoic thought, Seneca noted that true happiness lies in understanding our duties to God and man, enjoying the present without anxiously depending on the future. Noticing balance and understanding duties that are not always pleasant. A Stoic approach is not about focusing solely on the positive or the negative. It is about embracing the complexity of life with equanimity. So the next time the toxic positivist sprinkles his confetti on your carefully manicured garden, he takes a step back and remember that a garden needs both sun and rain to flourish. He embraces the fullness of the emotional spectrum and continues to nourish your garden with the richness and complexity it deserves. The sixth type of person is the manipulator. Imagine your life as a movie script where you are the main character with a clear vision of how your story should unfold, from your allies and mentors to your final act. Enter the manipulator, a shadowy producer who subtly rewrites your script without you realizing it, until one day you discover that your story has gone off course. This manipulator is skilled in the art of emotional and psychological maneuvering, using flattery, feelings of guilt, or deception to steer you in a direction that benefits them. You may have a friend who constantly gets you to pay for dinner by saying something like, "You know, I've had a rough month and it wouldn't mean much to you, but it would make my day better." Later, you discover that they have taken advantage of your generosity, but confronting them feels awkward because they framed the situation as a favor between friends. Managing a manipulator can be complicated. One tactic to counter his strategies is what some experts call fog. This involves agreeing with whatever truth is in the manipulator's statements, but refusing to give in to emotional coercion. For example, if they say you should cover dinner because you're so successful, you might respond that you're right, you're doing well, but you'd rather split the bill like you usually do. Another approach is to set clear boundaries and enforce them. For example, if the manipulator wants you to lend him money or commit to uncomfortable tasks, he learns to say no assertively. Keep your tone calm and your words clear, saying something like, "I can't lend money, but I'm here to offer emotional support." Inspired by Stoic thought, Epictetus reminded us that we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. The manipulator feeds off your predictable reactions, manipulating your kindness, guilt, or desire for approval. By choosing to respond differently, you are taking back control of your script. If you encounter a manipulator in your life, remember that you are the one holding the pen. Your story is yours to write. Although the cast may include a variety of characters, the protagonist's journey should be guided by your own values and decisions. Claim your script and don't let anyone manipulate the narrative of your life. The seventh type of person is the time vampire. Visualize your daily routine as a carefully crafted symphony where each task or commitment represents an instrument that, when played together, creates a harmonious balance. However, the time vampire enters the scene, a discordant element that screeches out of tune, drowning out the melody and turning the composition into a discordant noise. This vampire is not always malicious. He could be a colleague who constantly interrupts you with trivial questions, or a friend who invites you to social events without considering your time and energy. To protect your symphony from being ruined by a time vampire, an effective strategy is the Pomodoro technique, which involves dividing work into 25-minute intervals, followed by short breaks. During these intervals, clearly state that you are not to be disturbed, thus protecting your most productive moments. If you are faced with a social vampire, remember that saying no is okay and essential to your well-being. Instead of offering elaborate excuses, a simple "I appreciate the invitation, but I can't" is enough. Seneca stated that life, although well-lived, is long enough. Stoicism teaches us that time is a precious resource and we must allocate it wisely. Every moment is a note in the grand composition of your life, and you must be selective about who and what deserves a place in your masterpiece. Don't let the cacophonous intrusion of a time vampire ruin your symphony. Hold the baton firmly, lead your life with purpose, and make sure every moment is a well-played note in your harmonious masterpiece. As we conclude our exploration of the characters who can derail our path to Stoic resilience and wisdom, let us remember that self-awareness is key. It's easy to recognize these types in others, but it's equally important to look inward. Are you inadvertently playing any of these roles in someone else's life? Stoicism is not only about navigating the world, but also about understanding and continually improving ourselves. If this discussion has sparked reflections, epiphanies, or introspection, I'd be happy to read your thoughts in the comments section. Share your experiences, and let's participate in an enriching dialogue. Until next time, may your choices align with your virtues. May your actions reflect your wisdom, and may your life be the masterpiece you are destined to create.